The room shimmered with golden light, chandeliers casting a warm glow over tables draped in ivory silk. Laughter and clinking glasses filled the air, but my heart pounded like a war drum. My sister, Clara, stood across the venue, her lavender gown catching every eye as she held up my carefully wrapped gift, a $60 crystal photo frame, and laughed. "Oh, Emma, really?" Clara's voice sliced through the chatter, sharp and mocking, as she waved the box for her fiancé's family to see. "A thrift store special for my engagement party. I know you're struggling, but this is just sad." Her words stung, each syllable a needle in my chest, but I bit my tongue, my hands trembling at my sides. The guests' friends, family, and strangers shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between us. But Clara reveled in the attention, oblivious to the truth I'd kept buried. I'd paid for every inch of this extravagant celebration. I'd always been the lesser sister in Clara's eyes. 2 years older. I was the practical one, the one who worked overtime at a modest accounting job, while Clara chased glamour as an influencer. Her life a curated highlight reel. Our parents, gone too soon in a car accident 5 years ago, had left us a small inheritance. But Clara burned through hers on designer bags and trips to Bali. I saved mine, scrimping to keep us afloat when she inevitably came crawling back for help. This engagement party, her dream come true, was my gift to her. A $20,000 gift I'd orchestrated in secret, down to the imported roses and the string quartet she'd begged for. She thought her fiancé, Nathan, had footed the bill. She was wrong. As Clara's laughter echoed, I felt the weight of every sacrifice I'd made for her. The late nights balancing her debts, the weekends spent planning this night while she posted selfies with captions about living her best life. I'd wanted to give her a moment to shine, to feel the love she craved. But now, standing in the wreckage of her mockery, something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let her rewrite my worth. "Clara," I said, my voice steady despite the fire in my chest, "you might want to check who paid for this party before you laugh at my gift." Her smile faltered, confusion flickering in her eyes. But she recovered quickly, tossing her hair. "Oh, please, Emma, don't make a scene. Nathan handled everything." "Right, babe." She turned to her fiancé, who stood nearby, his face paling as he avoided my gaze. Nathan, a kind but spineless real estate agent, knew the truth. I'd coordinated with him for months, funneling my savings into this night while he took the credit to keep Clara happy. I'd agreed to stay silent, to let her have her moment. But that was before she turned my gesture into a punchline. The room grew quieter, the weight of my words settling over the crowd. Clara's best friend, Mia, leaned forward, her wine glass frozen mid-sip. "What's she talking about, Clara?" she asked, her tone curious but sharp. Clara's eyes narrowed, her confidence wavering for the first time. I took a step forward, my emerald dress catching the light as I held her gaze. "I paid for this, Clara. The venue, the flowers, the catering, every cent came from me. That sad gift you're holding, it's the only thing I could afford after giving you this night." The silence was deafening. Clara's mouth opened, then closed, her face flushing as the truth landed like a slap. Nathan shifted uncomfortably, his eyes pleading with me to stop. But I wasn't done. For years, I'd let her belittle me, dismiss me, assume I was less because I didn't flaunt my life online. Tonight, that ended. "Emma, you're lying," Clara stammered, but her voice lacked conviction. The guests were whispering now, their murmurs a low hum of shock and curiosity. I could feel their eyes on me, but for once, I didn't care. I'd spent too long in Clara's shadow, and I was ready to step into the light. I turned to the event coordinator, a poised woman named Sarah who'd helped me plan every detail. "Sarah," I called, my voice carrying across the room, "can you confirm who signed the checks for tonight?" Sarah hesitated, glancing at Nathan, but I gave her a nod. She stepped forward, her expression professional but sympathetic. Ms. Emma Harper funded the entire event. Sarah said clearly. Every vendor, every detail, it was all arranged and paid for by her. The crowd erupted in gasps, and Clara's face drained of color. She looked at Nathan, then back at me, her hands clutching the gift box like a lifeline. You did this, she whispered, her voice breaking. For a moment, I saw the little girl she used to be, the one who'd clung to me after our parents died. But the memory faded under the weight of her betrayal. Yes, I said simply, and I'm done letting you treat me like I'm nothing. I turned and walked toward the exit, my heart pounding but lighter than it had been in years. The party continued behind me, but the illusion of Clara's perfect night was shattered. As I stepped into the cool night air, I realized this was only the beginning. Clara had built her world on my sacrifices, but I was ready to reclaim what was mine even if it meant tearing hers down. The night air hit me like a slap, sharp and bracing, as I stood outside the venue, my breath visible in the chilly September evening. Inside, the party churned on, but the laughter felt distant, like a song from someone else's life. I'd just walked away from Clara's engagement party gift to her. Now a battlefield in my heart was a tangle of rage and relief. I didn't plan to leave for good. I just needed space. A moment to breathe without Clara's smugness suffocating me. My phone buzzed in my clutch, Nathan's name flashing on the screen. I ignored it. He'd been complicit, letting Clara believe he was the hero of this night while I poured my savings into her dream. I wasn't ready to hear his excuses. As I leaned against the stone wall of the venue, the memory of Clara's mockery replayed like a bad movie. That crystal frame, chosen with care because it matched her aesthetic, wasn't just a gift, it was a symbol of my love, the kind she'd never bothered to see. I'd spent weeks scouring stores for something meaningful within my budget, knowing every dollar I had left was tied up in her celebration. And she'd laughed. In front of everyone. Footsteps crunched on the gravel behind me. I turned to see Mia, Clara's best friend, her sequin dress glinting under the streetlights. Emma, what the hell was that? She asked, her voice a mix of awe and confusion. You paid for all of this. Why didn't you say anything? I sighed, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. Because I wanted her to be happy. Mia, she's my sister. I thought if I gave her this, she'd see me. Really see me. My voice cracked, and I hated it. I'd spent years being the strong one. But tonight, the cracks were showing. Mia's expression softened. She's an idiot. Emma, I love Clara, but she's blind to what you do for her. Always has been. She hesitated, then added, you shouldn't have let her walk all over you like that. I know, I admitted, the words bitter on my tongue. But I'm done now. Good, Mia said, nodding. So what's next? You can't just let her get away with that stunt. I didn't have an answer yet. My plan had been to give Clara her moment, to stay in the background like always. But her cruelty had shifted something in me. I wasn't just hurt, I was angry. Angry enough to want her to feel the weight of her actions. Back inside, I could hear the music shift to a slower tune, the party moving into the speeches. Nathan's voice came through the open door, stumbling over words of gratitude to everyone who made this night possible. No mention of me. Typical. I straightened, brushing off my dress. I'm going back in, I told Mia, but not to play nice. Her eyes widened, a grin spreading across her face. That's my girl. The venue felt different when I re-entered, the warmth now stifling, the lights too bright. Clara was at the head table, her smile forced as she whispered something to Nathan. The guests were still buzzing, their glances flickering toward me as I made my way to the center of the room. I didn't have a plan, but I had a truth, and it was burning a hole through me. I tapped a spoon against a glass, the chime cutting through the noise. All eyes turned to me, And Clara's face froze, her hands tightening around her wine glass. I have something to say, I began, my voice louder than I expected, steady and clear. Tonight was supposed to be about love and celebration, but it's also about truth. Clara stood, her chair scraping against the floor. Emma, don't, she hissed. But I ignored her. I paid for this party. I continued, my gaze sweeping the room. Every detail, from the flowers to the music, came from my savings. I did it because I love my sister, even when she makes it hard. But I'm done letting her erase me. The room was silent, the weight of my words settling like dust. Clara's eyes glistened, but I couldn't tell if it was shame or anger. Nathan looked like he wanted to disappear. And then, from the back, someone clapped. Slow, deliberate. It was Sarah, the event coordinator, her face a mix of pride and defiance. Others joined in, a ripple of applause that felt like a lifeline. Clara's voice broke the moment. You're embarrassing me, she snapped, her face red. This is my night. Emma, why do you always have to make it about you? The accusation hit like a punch, but I was ready. It's not about me, Clara. It's about you taking everything I give and throwing it back in my face. I'm done being your doormat. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others looking away. Clara's facade cracked, her lips trembling as she searched for a comeback. For the first time, she had none. I turned to leave again, but this time, I felt the shift. The room wasn't just Clara's anymore. It was mine, too. And I wasn't finished. The applause faded, leaving a tense hum in the air. Clara stood frozen at the head table, her lavender gown no longer a symbol of elegance, but a spotlight on her unraveling composure. I'd just laid bare the truth that I'd funded her dream engagement party, and the room was split between shock and quiet support. My heart raced, not from fear, but from the strange thrill of finally standing up to her. Clara's eyes locked on mine, a storm of emotions swirling in them, anger, embarrassment, and something softer, almost like regret. But she didn't apologize. Instead, she turned to Nathan, her voice low but sharp. Did you know about this? She demanded, her hands gripping the table's edge. Nathan, caught like a deer in headlights, stammered. Emma wanted it to be a surprise. For you. His attempt at diplomacy was weak, and Clara's glare could have melted steel. She turned back to me, her voice rising. So what? Emma, you want a medal for playing martyr. You could have just said something. Her words were a desperate swing, but they didn't land. I stepped closer, my voice calm but unyielding. I shouldn't have to beg you to respect me. Clara, I gave you this night because I thought you'd appreciate it. Instead, you mocked me in front of everyone. The guests were silent, their eyes darting between us like spectators at a tennis match. Mia, standing near the bar, gave me a subtle nod, urging me to keep going. I didn't need the encouragement. Years of swallowing Clara's jabs had built a fire in me, and it was burning now. I'm not here to ruin your night, I said, addressing the room as much as Clara. But I'm done letting my sister treat me like I'm less than her. I've paid for her mistakes, her debts, her dreams, and I'm tired of it. I paused, letting the weight of my words settle. So tonight, I'm done. Clara's face crumpled, but she recovered quickly, her voice dripping with venom. You're jealous, Emma. You've always been jealous of me. My life, my followers, my engagement. You can't stand that I'm happy. The accusation stung, not because it was true, but because it was so far from it. Jealousy. I'd spent years lifting her up, sacrificing my own dreams to keep her afloat. I opened my mouth to fire back, but a voice from the crowd cut through. That's enough. Clara. It was Aunt Linda, our mother's sister, her silver hair glinting under the chandeliers. She stood, her presence commanding despite her small frame. Emma's right. You've taken her for granted for too long. We all see it. Clara's jaw dropped, her eyes darting to the guests for support. But none came. Even her bridesmaids, usually her loyal chorus, looked uncomfortable, their gazes fixed on their plates. Aunt Linda continued, her voice steady. Your sister gave you this night, and you humiliated her. You owe her an apology. The room held its breath. Clara's chest heaved, her hands trembling as she clutched her glass. For a moment, I thought she might break, might finally see the damage she'd done. But then she laughed a brittle, hollow sound. An apology? For what? She's the one making a scene. Nathan reached for her arm, whispering, Clara, stop. But she shook him off. I could see the cracks in her perfect image widening, her confidence crumbling under the weight of the truth. But Clara was nothing if not stubborn. She doubled down, turning to the crowd. Let's move on. Okay. This is my engagement party. Let's celebrate. The DJ, sensing the tension, started the music again, but the mood was fractured. Guests returned to their conversations, but the energy was off, the joy tainted. I stood there, feeling both exposed and empowered, knowing I'd changed the narrative of this night forever. As I moved toward the bar, Mia caught up with me, her eyes wide. That was incredible. Emma, I've never seen Clara so rattled. What's your next move? I took a sip of water, my hands still shaking from adrenaline. I don't know, I admitted. But I'm not going back to how things were. She needs to learn what it's like without me carrying her. Mia grinned, but there was a flicker of worry in her eyes. Just be careful. Clara doesn't handle losing well. I nodded, glancing back at my sister, who was now forcing a smile as she posed for photos with Nathan. She was trying to salvage the night, but I could see the strain in her eyes. For the first time, I realized how much of her world depended on me and how much power I had to take it away. As the night wore on, I stayed on the sidelines, watching Clara work the room like a performer desperate to keep the audience. But the whispers followed her, and I knew the truth was spreading. I wasn't just the quiet sister anymore. I was the one who'd built this night and the one who could tear it down. The party limped on, the music too loud, the laughter too forced. Clara flitted from guest to guest, her smile a mask that didn't quite reach her eyes. I stayed near the bar, nursing a glass of water, my mind racing with what I'd done and what I still might do. Exposing the truth about the party's funding had shifted something fundamental, not just between me and Clara, but in how I saw myself. For years, I'd been the invisible scaffolding of her life. Now, I was ready to dismantle it. Mia slid onto the stool beside me, her expression a mix of admiration and caution. You've got everyone talking. Emma, she said, glancing at the crowd. Clara's trying to act like nothing happened, but people are on your side. Even Nathan's mom was asking me why Clara's so ungrateful. I snorted, the irony bitter. Nathan's mother, Diane, had always been kind to me, but she doted on Clara, charmed by her charisma. If even Diane was questioning her, Clara's perfect image was cracking. Good, I said, my voice low. Let her feel it. Mia raised an eyebrow. You're really done, aren't you? Like, done. I nodded, staring at the ice in my glass. I've spent years bailing her out. Mia, her rent, her credit card bills, this party. I thought it was what sisters do. But she doesn't even see it. She just takes. Mia leaned closer, her voice soft. Then stop. Let her figure it out. You don't owe her your life. Her words hit hard, echoing the resolve growing inside me. I'd always justified my sacrifices as love, but love shouldn't feel like erasure. I glanced at Clara, now dancing with Nathan, her laughter loud but brittle. She was performing, but the audience wasn't buying it anymore. As the night wound down, guests began to leave, their goodbyes laced with awkward glances my way. Aunt Linda approached, her warm hand on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, Emma, she said quietly. Your mother would have been, too. She always said you had a heart bigger than your sense. I smiled, my throat tight. Thanks, Aunt Linda. I don't know how to fix this. You don't fix it, she said firmly. Clara needs to grow up. And you need to live for you. Her words stayed with me as I slipped out to the parking lot, avoiding Clara's gaze. I wasn't ready to face her. Not yet. My car, an old sedan that had seen better days, felt like a sanctuary as I sank into the driver's seat. My phone buzzed again. Nathan. Then Clara. Then Nathan again. I turned it off. The drive home was quiet, the city lights blurring past. My apartment was small, cluttered with books and secondhand furniture, a stark contrast to Clara's sleek condo. But it was mine, paid for with my own money. No thanks to her. As I kicked off my heels, I felt a strange clarity. I'd given Clara everything, me money, my time, my silence. Now, I was taking it back. The next morning, my inbox was flooded. Messages from cousins, friends, even Clara's bridesmaids, all saying some version of, I had no idea, or you didn't deserve that. But Clara's message was the one I opened first. It was short. No apology. Just a demand. We need to talk. You can't just humiliate me like that and walk away. I stared at the words, my anger flaring anew. Humiliate her. She'd built her night on my sacrifice and mocked me for it. I typed a reply, then deleted it. Words wouldn't fix this. Actions would. I called Sarah, the event coordinator, who'd been a quiet ally last night. Sarah, those vendors catering, flowers, the quartet, are any of the invoices still open? She paused, then answered, a few. The caterer and the florist haven't been fully paid yet. Why? Send me the details, I said, and let them know I'm not covering anything else. Sarah's silence spoke volumes, but when she replied, there was a smile in her voice. Got it, Emma. I'll handle it. Hanging up, I felt a weight lift. Clara thought last night was her triumph, but she didn't know the half of it. The party was just the start. She'd built her life on my support, and now she'd see what happened when it was gone. By noon, my phone was buzzing again. Clara, panicking. The florist just called Nathan. They're saying we owe $3,000. What's going on, Emma? I didn't respond. Let her figure it out. For the first time in years, I felt free. The silence in my apartment was deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos of Clara's engagement party the night before. My phone sat on the counter, buzzing with her frantic texts, each one more desperate than the last. Emma, call me. The caterer's threatening to sue. Why aren't you answering? I let them pile up, my resolve hardening with every notification. For years, I'd been her safety net, catching her every fall. Now, she was free falling, and I wasn't catching. I spent the morning sorting through my finances, a grim reminder of how much I'd sacrificed for Clara. My savings account, once a modest cushion, was nearly drained from the party. $20,000 gone for a night she'd turned into a mockery. The crystal frame she'd laughed at. It was the last of my budget, a thoughtful gesture she'd spat on. I wasn't just angry. I was done. By afternoon, Nathan called, his voice tight with panic. Emma, Clara's freaking out. The vendors are hounding us for payments. I thought you had it covered. I did, I said coolly. Until last night. I told Sarah to send the remaining invoices to you and Clara. You're welcome to take credit for the party now. Take responsibility for it. He sputtered. But we can't afford this. Clara thought I paid, and I didn't correct her because, well, you know how she is. I do, I said, my voice like steel. And I'm done cleaning up her messes. You both wanted the spotlight. Now deal with the bill. I hung up, my heart pounding but steady. For the first time, I wasn't apologizing or backtracking. I was choosing myself. Clara showed up at my apartment that evening. Her makeup smudged, her lavender dress replaced by jeans and a hoodie. She looked smaller, less like the untouchable influencer and more like the sister I'd once known. But the memory of her laughter, her casual cruelty, kept my walls up. "Emma, what are you doing?" she demanded, pushing past me into the living room. "The vendors are blowing up my phone. They say we owe thousands. You can't just back out like this." I crossed my arms, meeting her gaze. "I didn't back out. Clara, I paid for your entire party, every cent of it. You mocked me for it. So now, you handle what's left." Her eyes widened, a mix of shock and desperation. "I didn't know." "Okay. I thought Nathan paid. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I shouldn't have to," I snapped, my voice rising. "I've been carrying you for years, your rent, your debts, your dreams, and you treat me like I'm nothing. You laughed at my gift in front of everyone. Clara, you made me feel small." She flinched, her hands twisting together. I didn't mean it like that. I was just joking. You know how I am." "Your jokes aren't funny," I said, my voice quieter now, but no less firm. "They never have been. I'm done letting you hurt me." Clara's eyes filled with tears, but I didn't soften. I'd seen her cry before crocodile tears to get her way. "You don't understand," she said, her voice breaking. "My followers, my brand, it's all about looking perfect. If I can't pay for this, if people find out, it'll ruin me." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you humiliated me," I shot back. "You built your life on my sacrifices, Clara. Now you'll see what it's like without them." She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, not just of the bills, but of losing the one person who'd always been there. "Emma, please," she whispered. "I'm sorry." "Okay, I'm sorry." The words hung between us, heavy and fragile. I wanted to believe her, to see the sister who'd once shared secrets with me under the covers. But apologies couldn't erase years of dismissal. "I need more than words," I said. "Prove it." She left without another word. Her shoulders slumped. I closed the door, my heart aching but resolute. The next day, I got a call from Sarah. "Clara's trying to negotiate with the vendors," she said. "She's scrambling, but they're not budging. What do you want me to do?" "Nothing," I said. "Let her handle it." As I hung up, I felt a strange mix of guilt and freedom. Clara was facing the consequences of her actions, and I was finally stepping out of her shadow. But the fight wasn't over. I knew my sister'd come back swinging. Days passed, and Clara's silence was louder than her usual chatter. My phone, once a constant stream of her demands, was quiet except for the occasional text from Nathan, pleading for me to talk some sense into her. I didn't respond. For the first time in years, I was focusing on myself, cooking meals I enjoyed, taking long walks, even signing up for an online accounting course I'd put off because of Clara's needs. It felt like waking up. But Clara wasn't one to stay down. A week after the party, I woke to a notification, a new post on her Instagram. A glowing photo of her and Nathan, captioned, "Grateful for love, family, and second chances. Engaged, blessed." The comments were a mix of heart emojis and questions about the party drama, which she ignored. It was classic Clara spinning the narrative, pretending the world hadn't seen her unravel. Then came the email. Not from Clara, but from a lawyer representing the catering company. They were demanding the remaining $4,000, naming both Clara and me as responsible parties. My stomach dropped. I'd paid the bulk up front, but the final invoices were in limbo when I'd told Sarah to stop. Clara must have given them my name, dragging me back into her mess. Fury surged through me, but I wasn't surprised. This was Clara's playbook: deflect, distract, Dodge. I called Sarah immediately. Why am I on these invoices? I asked, my voice tight. Sarah sighed. Clara told the caterer you'd handle it, like you did the rest. I tried to clarify, but she's convincing when she wants to be. I hung up, my hands shaking. Clara wasn't just avoiding responsibility, she was throwing me under the bus. I dialed her number, and she picked up on the first ring. Her voice sugary sweet. Emma, I was just about to call you. Cut the act. I said, why is my name on the catering invoice? She hesitated, then laughed nervously. Oh, that. I just thought, since you handled everything else, you'd want to wrap it up. I'll pay you back. I swear. No, Clara, I said, my voice like ice. You don't get to do this. You mocked me, humiliated me, and now you're trying to make me pay for your mistakes. I'm done. Emma, please, she said, her tone shifting to panic. I don't have the money. My sponsorships are drying up, and Nathan's freaking out. If you don't help, they'll sue us both. Then let them, I said. I'll tell them exactly who paid for what. You're not pinning this on me. I hung up, my heart pounding. I wasn't bluffing, I'd fight it, even if it meant legal fees I couldn't afford. But the call left me shaken. Clara's desperation was real, and for a moment, I felt the old pull to fix it, to save her like always. Then I remembered her laughter, her dismissal, and I pushed the guilt away. That evening, Mia came over, bringing takeout and a bottle of wine. Clara's spiraling, she said, setting the food on my coffee table. She's been calling everyone, begging for loans. Her followers are noticing she hasn't posted a new outfit in days. I raised an eyebrow. And Nathan? Useless, Mia said, rolling her eyes. He's trying to calm her down, but he's out of his depth. You really shook things up, Emma. I sighed, picking at my food. I didn't want it to go this far. I just wanted her to see me. Mia reached for my hand. She sees you now, and she's scared. You've always been her rock, and now she's realizing what it's like without you. Her words lingered as I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling. I'd wanted Clara to understand my worth, but this felt like a war, and wars had casualties. The next morning, I got a text from Aunt Linda. Clara's at my place. She's a mess. Can we talk? I agreed to meet at Linda's house, bracing myself for another showdown. When I arrived, Clara was on the couch, her eyes red from crying. Linda sat beside her, her expression neutral but firm. Emma, Linda said, Clara has something to say. Clara looked up, her voice small. I'm sorry, Emma. For the party. For everything. I didn't realize. I didn't know how much you did for me. I waited, my heart guarded. I'd heard her apologies before. And I prompted. She swallowed hard. I'll pay the vendors. I'm selling some stuff me bags. My jewelry. I'll make it right. Just don't hate me. I studied her, searching for the sister I'd lost somewhere along the way. I don't hate you, I said finally. But I can't keep saving you. You need to stand on your own. She nodded, tears spilling over. For the first time, I saw a flicker of the old Clara, the one who'd needed me but also loved me. But I wasn't ready to forgive, not yet. Clara's apology hung in the air, fragile and untested, as we sat in Aunt Linda's living room. Her tears were real, but I'd seen her cry her way out of trouble before. I wanted to believe her, to bridge the chasm between us. But trust was a currency I'd spent too freely on her. I'll believe it when I see it, I said, my voice steady but not unkind. Fix this, Clara. Not for me, but for you. She nodded, wiping her eyes, and Linda gave me a small, approving smile. As I left, I felt lighter but wary. Clara's promises were a start, but actions would tell the real story. Over the next week, I kept my distance, letting Clara face the vendors and her own reality. Sarah updated me. Clara had sold 2 designer handbags online, covering half the catering bill. She'd also negotiated a payment plan with the florist, something I'd never seen her do. She was trying, but I wasn't ready to celebrate. I'd spent years bailing her out. This was her turn to prove she could stand without me. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my own life. I enrolled in that accounting course, started jogging again, and even went on a coffee date with a coworker who'd been asking me out for months. It wasn't much, but it was a life not defined by Clara's needs. The freedom was intoxicating, but it came with a pang of guilt. She was my sister. After all, could I really let her fall? Then came the call from Nathan. "Emma, Clara's trying," he said, his voice strained. "She's selling more stuff, but her followers are turning on her. They're saying she's fake, that the party drama exposed her. She's falling apart." I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Nathan, I'm sorry she's struggling, but this isn't my mess to fix. She needs to figure it out." "I know," he said quietly. I don't know how to help her. And I feel like I failed you both." His honesty caught me off guard. Nathan had been complicit, letting Clara believe he'd funded the party. But he wasn't the villain. "You didn't fail me," I said, "but you need to stop enabling her. We both do." He was silent for a moment, then said, "You're right. I'll try." A few days later, Clara posted a new video on Instagram, her usual polished content, but a raw, unfiltered one. She sat in her condo, no makeup, her hair in a messy bun. "I messed up," she said to the camera, her voice shaky. "I took my sister for granted, and I hurt her. I've been living a life I couldn't afford, pretending it was all me. It wasn't. Emma made so much of it possible, and I didn't see it. I'm sorry." The comments exploded, some supportive, others brutal. Fake tears. One said, "You don't deserve her," said another. But a few praised her honesty, and I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the start of something real. Clara showed up at my apartment the next day, a check in her hand for $2,000, the rest of the catering bill. "I sold my Chanel bag," she said, her voice quiet. "The florist is paid off, too. I'm trying. Emma, I mean it." I took the check, my fingers brushing hers. "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. It wasn't just about the money, it was about her taking responsibility. Maybe for the first time. "I watched your video," I added. "That took guts." She shrugged, a ghost of a smile on her lips. "I'm losing followers. But maybe that's okay. I need to figure out who I am without all that." We stood there, the silence heavy but not hostile. "I want us to be sisters again," I said finally. "But it's going to take time. You hurt me, Clara. A lot." "I know," she whispered. "I'll keep trying. I promise." I nodded, not ready to hug her, but not shutting the door either. As she left, I felt the weight of years begin to lift, not gone, but lighter. Clara was learning, and so was I. I'd spent so long defining myself through her, but now I was writing my own story. And for the first time, I liked the main character. Months later, Clara's wedding was smaller, funded by her and Nathan. No frills. I was there, not as the bank, but as her sister, with a new gift, a photo of us as kids, framed in crystal. She cried when she opened it, and this time, I believed her tears.